The Z series is in its 5th iteration. That's 5 years of making the folding form factor, whether it be for the fold or the flip. And you would think they would have settled into their features and how they want to look. Now that is particularly true for the fold, in my opinion, the Fold 5. I think the major changes only come in the Flip 5, and that's why we're going to review it today. Let's talk about it. Okay, going straight to unboxing. As you would expect, you're going to find the phone, the USB-C cable, and a SIM ejector tool. That's it. Ever since Apple started taking the chargers out of the box, that's not going to change anytime soon in the name of saving the planet. However, depending on where you buy your device, whether it be on the Samsung website or Best Buy or some other official retailer, you could get great deals like getting a free charger, a free Watch 5, or 50% off Watch 6, or $50 off. It's complicated, but just shop around before you make a final decision if you're looking to buy the Flip or the Fold 5 series. So let's talk design. Like I said, this is the 5th iteration, so not much is going to change between the Fold and the Flip. For those who don't know, the Fold is the one that looks like a book, slightly bigger form factor. The Flip cuts a regular phone size in half, pretty much what I have here. It flips out into a standard cell phone, if you will. So let's talk about what has changed between the Flip 4 and the Flip 5. Starting with the hinge mechanism, which I think is the most important part of a folding device. You get that right, you pretty much are on the right track to get everything else right. Here they've taken out more parts and refined it to be sturdier with less, which is a good thing. And up until the Flip 4, there was always a gap when you closed it. Now it shuts perfectly flat with no gap. It is still rated at IPX8, meaning that it is resistant for essentially a plunge. You would figure out how to do that, like I explained before. They've coated most of the internal devices with oleophobic coating, which prevents water from damaging it. But the X means it's not rated for dust resistance. Particles will still get in there, but hopefully not enough to damage your device. Now, hooray for Samsung to finally achieve what other Chinese companies have been doing for a while, but that does have its benefits because now there's less chances of a big particle getting in between and damaging that soft screen you have on the inside. And it's just generally cooler. Which brings us to another big change that has caused. Remember that 1.9-inch screen they had on the outside of the Flip 4? It was sort of useful, had a couple of widgets, but it was small. And now they're trying to follow the toe of the Motorola Razr, the new one. So it's now a 3.4-inch screen, Super AMOLED display on the outside, 720p, 60 hertz, I believe. And it is way more useful, because now you can do a whole lot more in there. By default, you can load up your messaging apps, you can do Google Maps out here, you can even watch Netflix and YouTube for some reason. But you can do that. To those who don't want to flip open the phone every single time, this screen becomes a whole lot more useful. Why would you want to do that? Someone might ask. Well, my friend had a debate about, look, what's the point of a folding phone if you can do everything on the outside screen? My argument is, why not? It's the paradox of choice, right? I don't want to unfold it every single time. I don't think everything should be done on a small screen, but when you can, I think you should be able to. Well, that's my opinion anyway. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Back to this 3.4-inch screen out here. Yes, you can put on those apps. In fact, you can pretty much put anything on there if you get an app called Good Lock, I believe, on the App Store, and then pair it with Multistar. And that'll let you pretty much sideload anything you want onto the screen and do anything. For those of you on the other side of that argument that think you should be able to do everything on the outside of your tiny screen for some reason. But keep in mind, this tiny screen is now bigger from 1.9 to 3.4, so you are tasking the battery a little bit more, but more on that later. So internal screen is pretty much still the same. It's still a 6.7-inch Super AMOLED display, gets up to 120 hertz refresh rate and can dial itself down to 1 because it's variable. That way, if you're looking at a static image, it won't refresh as much and hence save you battery life. And that's a great thing about LTPO screens. But keep in mind, that's not the same on the outside. That's a standard screen. It's not an LTPO screen, so it's not gonna dial down. It's just gonna stay at 60 hertz all the time. Again, talking about battery draining. Not a lot else has changed in comparison to the Flip 4. The cameras are fundamentally still the same. Screen is still the same. But on the inside, it has changed. It is rocking the latest and greatest Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which is for Samsung, which is an overclocked SoC if you ask me. But you guys know how I feel about processors. But it does work, all right? For everything from your fundamental gaming to multitasking. This will work without glitching or stuttering. It's a good chip. It works just fine. But internally, that is pretty much one of two things that has changed. The second thing is that the base model will now come with 256 gigs of space rather than 128, but you are paying $100 more, but I think it's a decent trade-off for that $100 more. There's still no expansion slot for SD cards. Sorry, guys. But that's it. That's what Samsung thinks you need. More space and just charge it a little bit more. If you notice the trend for more phones getting more expensive as we progress, hopefully our famous other brands will come into play and make things better for all of us. What else? Battery life. So the battery, again, still the same here. We're still rocking a 3700 milliamp power battery. You would think because there's a better chip in here with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 that, it'll do better battery optimization. And that technically is true. It should do that. But keep in mind that this outer screen is now bigger from 1.9 to 3.4 at 60 hertz, 720p all the time. It is constantly draining battery for those of you who are doing more out here. So it sort of evens out. In my testing so far, it's been okay. I've done full day on a heavy use. I still ended up with about 10-12% at about 7:30, 8 p.m. Now, maybe it's still because it's new, who knows? But I'll go in further down in a few months. I'll check it out again to see if the battery's still holding up. And we'll see how it goes. But like I said, that power versus processor versus screen sort of balances it out to give you the same battery performance you would have gotten on the Flip 4, in my experience anyway. Let me know if you guys are experiencing something different. And that's it. That is a short overview of what I think are the biggest changes to the Flip 5. Is that enough for you to upgrade? Well, if you have a system that allows you to go into a store and upgrade your device just for the screen and maybe a better processor, sure, why not? It's not going to cost you much. But if this is your first foray into folding phones, secondly, yes, this is probably the best folding phone for most people on the planet, in my opinion. But it's not worth throwing out your Flip 4 to go buy a Flip 5 if you don't have that exchange ability, again, in my opinion. And that's my thoughts on it. It is a great update in comparison to the Fold 5, which didn't change much for me. For this is way more practical now, way more useful. You could do a lot on this outer screen. And it is super customizable. I mean, Samsung figured out that people want to do a lot. You can make this screen yours. You can edit from the wallpaper to the clock to the themes, how it looks. It just goes on endlessly. And yeah, and it's fun. The case I have on it now, it is the, what is this case called? Yeah, it's a Spigen. I didn't get the Samsung one, but I got this one for free when I ordered this. This looks pretty solid. I guess I can get rid of it when I want. And you guys know how I feel about flip phones, man. I like to just cut people off and slam. And that's my take on the on the Galaxy Flip 5. In terms of major changes, we will do a full in-depth review on how it continues to perform later down the months. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Hit that notification bell. Help us make new content on the channel. I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.